Welcome to the OTG halftime show. The Cleveland Cavaliers currently lead the Golden State Warriors 59-43. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me tonight, Corey Waldron.
Hey, Nick. How's it going, man?
What's up, Corey? Just trying to enjoy Game 6. Sorry about the technical difficulties last game, but we're going to give you a great show tonight.
Yeah, sorry, guys. That was crew-wide.
Yeah, crew-wide. So, Corey, initial reaction to the first half?
Defending the land to a T. Irving and LeBron aren't as hot as they were in Game 5, but like you said before we got on, they're still warm. Irving's still hitting his shots, getting to the bucket. Same with LeBron. You're loving the turnovers and the solid D on Clay.
Yeah, the Cavs came out with a lot of energy in this game. Defensively, offensively, they had that 20-point lead in the first quarter. They held the Warriors under to 11 points in the first quarter, so a lot of energy. They kind of slowed it down a little bit in the second quarter. And the Warriors, they were a little bit sloppy this game. I felt like they're kind of a little bit careless with the ball, and they weren't 100% focused and geared in like the Cavs were.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, it was 29-9 at one point, and I was looking at this. I was just shocked. They were so sloppy to come out, and I was seeing tweets saying, there was no family. It was just the team. They were locked in going to this game, and they came out flatter than I expected.
Yeah, definitely a stale start. Luckily, their big star, Steph Curry's, had a big game. Even though he's been in some foul trouble, he's still been able to perform in that second quarter and get this game a little bit closer. With that said, who do you think's been the most impactful player for both teams? Doesn't necessarily have to have the best stat line, but has impacted the game the most.
I have to say Tristan Thompson for me. And I said this, I think, the first couple podcasts. He came out again. He had 8 rebounds after the first quarter. I mean, this guy is a beast on the glass. And I don't think he's missed a shot. I believe he's 4 for 4 from the field, a couple dunks off some nice LeBron dimes. He's playing a hell of a game.
Yeah, he had some really big moments. Like you said, LeBron's had some nice dimes to him. That one bounce pass, that was sick. For me, I think it has to be LeBron. Even though he's not scoring as much as we just saw him in the last game, he's that playmaker. He's has the pace. He's setting the tone, and he's had a couple nice defensive plays. That poke away on Clay. I think he had a block on Livingston. So he's been all over the place. And, when LeBron's playing great, the team's playing great, and the energy is high for the whole Cleveland squad. But who's been the most impactful player for the Warriors?
I mean, without a doubt, it's going to be the MVP, Steph Curry. He's got 18 points. He hasn't missed from the line yet. I mean, he's not rebounding. He's not getting his teammates really involved, which is kind of an issue, I believe. But, he's scoring, which you like to see.
Yeah, I would have to go with Steph here. A lot of the Warriors haven't played as well. Clay has really had a rough game. They've D'd him up from the start. I mean, Draymond Green has been solid all around, really, but he hasn't been huge. So Steph's scoring has definitely kind of kept them in this game.
And shout out to Andre Iguodala. I don't know what the injury is, but that man is gutting it out, and I respect it.
Yeah, and lower back pain is no joke for anybody who's ever had it, and you could definitely tell that guy is suffering on the court, and he's going to need plenty of ice after this game. With that said, Andre's bagged up, but who's been the worst player for both teams?
I mean, for the Warriors, it's clear. It's the second splash, bro. It's Klay Thompson. This is arguably your biggest game of the season to date. It's a closeout game. You don't have to go back at home, and you're 3 for 12 shooting.
Yeah, he's definitely had a rough game, and that has not helped them. They kind of need him to be big. They need at least 2 of the 3 of their big 3 to come up big in this game for them to walk away with a victory, especially in Cleveland. I know there's been a lot of foul calls in this game. It's had a big impact, I would say, in this game and probably in the series. How do you think that's influenced the game?
I mean, it obviously influences it a little bit. I mean, for example, that last foul on Kevin Love, him and Draymond skimmed, and he got his 3rd foul, so we didn't see him, pretty much at all. I think he played less than 5 minutes that first half. So, I mean, it's affecting the game to a degree. Draymond's got threes, Steph's got threes. That limits how they might be able to be played in the second half. It changes. It's changed the entire game for sure.
Yeah, and I think they've called this game probably a little bit tighter than they've had the last few games because they've called a lot more ticky-tack fouls. Like you mentioned, that third foul on Love, he really didn't make much contact, but they're kind of just trying to keep the game from getting to the points that it has in the previous ones. They don't want to see any extra action, so I guess they want to call it tight. But they've definitely had an impact with the fact that Love has 3 fouls. He's hardly played. And Steph, he got those early 2 fouls in the first quarter. He didn't play as much. So going in the second half, you would like to see the Cavs attack Curry and Green with all the fouls, and then attack Love when he comes back in and keep him out of the game if you're the Warriors.
I agree.
What do you think the Cavs need to do if they want to keep this lead and force a Game 7?
Keep winning the rebound battle. I said it after Bogut went down with the injury. He that's a big loss. He's the rim protector. He's a rebounder. And, so far, the Cavs have out-bullied them on the glass. And I think that's going to be a key for the second half.
Yeah, I think for the Cavs, for what they need to do to win the second half is they need to come out with the same energy. I keep saying this all the time when the Cavs have that big first half like they did in Game 3. They need to come out with that same type of intensity and lock the Warriors down defensively and keep building up that lead. And because the Warriors are never dead, I said this before on another podcast, I think it was last year during the finals, they can shoot their way back into any game. So you have to put the pedal to the metal, constantly go at them, constantly D them up. Every point matters against the Warriors because there's a good chance that they're going to make a run and make this game close at some point in the second half.
Gotta fear the three-pointer.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's even, when the Cavs are missing 1 or 2 free throws here and there, those points could have an effect at the end of the game. What do you think the Warriors need to do if they want to get rid of this deficit? They're down 16 right now. And get this W and get their second NBA championship in 2 years.
Keep Curry and Draymond on the floor. I hope that they stay out of foul trouble. They both have 3, as we said. And then, Clay's a shooter. I say this all the time. A shooter just has to see the switch of the net once to catch a rhythm. So if you just gotta hope your shooter comes out of it. You gotta hope that Barnes gives you something. He's been a no-show for the last 2 games for the most part. And he's got to hope that Curry stays out of foul trouble.
Yeah, you got to hope that the Cavs kind of get complacent and, when the Warriors make that run like they have in some of the losses they've had in the series, they kind of fold in. And, you need to get Clay some good looks. He takes a lot of tough shots. He makes a lot of tough shots. But if you can get good looks to kind of get his rhythm going, he'll probably start to catch a little bit of fire, maybe attack the rim a little bit, try to get some free throws. And like you said, Curry and Green just stay out of foul trouble, play their game. I think it'll be interesting to see how Andre Iguodala does in the second half, if he's even able to play with the way his back looked. So they're going to need probably somebody to step up in his role. And Harrison Barnes, he needs to pick it up. I mean, regardless, he's probably going to get paid this summer, but the amount of open looks that he's missing from 3 is really hurting the Warriors.
I think it hurts. If I'm looking at him in the offseason and this is how you perform in the biggest game, arguably, of your career, it matters.
Yeah, I could agree with that. But the big question, who wins this game?
I hate doing it. I'm picking the Cavs. I think it's LeBron's court. It's LeBron's home. It's his legacy. We're seeing Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, we've picked the Cavs way too many times not to pick them here. The other games haven't even looked as good. I think the energy they came out with in the first quarter kind of gives me a lot of faith. And you mentioned this to me off the pod is that, they might be putting something in the tank, so they might whip that in the fourth quarter and turn up a whole nother gear just to try to get that win and force that Game 7. Talking about Game 7, if the Cavs do win tonight like we both just predicted, do you think that the Cavs are going to win Game 7 or the Warriors are just going to turn up another gear because they'll be at home in Golden State?
I'd have to say it's Cavs. I'd have to say the momentum would be swayed. Game 7 would be up for grabs, but I'm saying the Cavs would be favored.
Yeah, I think the home court probably doesn't matter quite as much in a Game 7 just because the intensity and the energy from both teams is going to be extremely high. If you don't get up for a Game 7 of the NBA Finals, you're not getting up for a game in your life. So I think it would be a great game. I'm not going to give you my prediction. I'll make you guys listen into the halftime show of Game 7. So that wraps it up for tonight. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and great show, Corey.
Have a good night, guys. Enjoy the game.